We built the first gym in the country with a cage. We had people travelling from all over to come and train at the gym. Eddie Bravo, who's one of the top grapplers in the world. John Kavanagh, who trained Conor McGregor.
Yeah, all too soon and wise too late.
Yeah.
You know, if I'd stuck to good basics throughout my career, I'd barely lost the fight.
We've got a fight for you in Japan and you're fit. Yeah. Because you deal with it afterwards. Like, I'm a hell fit, do you know what I mean?
1998 was the last time I had a drink or a drug.
98.
98, so that was GCSE results night.
We've had people that have disappeared off to, say, Thailand and places like that, and they'll put a picture up on social media just about the hotel. Yeah. The next thing, I'm ringing up the hotel and asking for that person to give me the room number and everything, you know.
Andy, Ian, good to see you guys. Welcome.
Nice one.
Thanks for coming along. Thanks for diving in on this.
No
got
problem.
Got his logo up on the TV this time.
This is fresh. This is fresh for us.
Looking good. This is what we need to do more often. Look, excited to have you here. Again, Great Sunday One podcast. We always want to start from the very start. What would you say are the key characteristic traits you both believe that make someone great, and how we can find you in the greatness?
I'd say for greatness, a lot of it is down to living the life that you want to live, and a life that's true to you. And I think by doing that and then passing it on to the next generation, I think it's so important to be a good influence and an inspiration to your kids and to other kids around you, because that's what's going to make society better. At the moment, you know, there's a real bad thing with things like the grime music and things, you know, where kids are being influenced by the wrong stuff and they're going down the wrong path. And I think to be great, you need to be a positive person that other people can follow and again become great themselves.
Perfect.
Yourself, Andy?
So, if you're looking at it from, say, a boxer's perspective, the all-time greats are the ones that have taken the defeats and then come back, like through adversity kind of thing. So, you'll get people that say that Floyd Mayweather's the greatest because he was undefeated, but was he tested to the highest level sort of thing? I know he's beaten world champions, but you look at, say, like a Muhammad Ali, who he had a year of his best sort of boxing out, didn't he? And then he went to prison or whatever it was, you know, and then comes back.
I say this a lot on the commentary on fights, and I say that what defines a fighter is how they come back from the losses. Yeah. And I think that's the same in business and everything else in your life. And Andy there mentioned Muhammad Ali. I actually wrote my dissertation on my first degree on Muhammad Ali and the way that he changed the perception of black people in American society using boxing as a vehicle.
Yeah, nice.
And again, like, these are the sort of things that make someone great. You know, like Muhammad Ali was called the greatest. That might not be because he's the best boxer, but look what he did in his life. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You know, I don't want to go off on a tangent right at the start of this interview, but I walked into the Shell station, the petrol station at Bay Horse, walked in and I saw a GQ magazine and it had Anthony Joshua on the front. It said the greatest. Yeah. And I've never liked him since. Like I say, I've got a lot of a passion for Muhammad Ali because of what I did and the time I spent in it. Yeah. You can't call Anthony Joshua the greatest. You could even argue he might be a better boxer. He might be able to beat Muhammad Ali. I'm not saying he could. But what Muhammad Ali did in his life made him the greatest, not the fact of just his boxing skill. Do you know what I mean?
Totally agree. Yeah. I think, like we always said it a few times, this is why we did the podcast, is that I think people, when they look at greatness or great, they always think of accolades like trophies or belts, whether it's fighting or even business or money in the bank, whatever. I think we've touched on there, especially yourself, like you said, Andy, and you're both right, is that it's that resilience, it's that get up, it's that go that I feel like defines anyone's greatness. You don't need to be a fucking celebrity or make some name in the big grander scheme of everyone knowing who you are. You know, you could have a stay-at-home mum, could be great in the sense of just getting up, getting at it, making money to feed the kids. You know, that's a
just constantly grinding.
Yeah, and that's the toughest part, is that people don't see. They can see, and we'll get this to with your guys and your stories in the fight game and everything you've achieved, is that they see all those achievements. They don't see the fucking roadmap and the work that's been put in previously before.
Yeah, all the setbacks.
Exactly, and that's what the 1% club is. I always think is that's what's going to allow you to move forward. So, knowing that and defining what you've mentioned there to be great and great is. With greatness is, tell us then, take us back to your early childhood. So obviously, elder brother's yourself, Ian, right?
Yeah. Twin brother.
You've got a twin brother as well, haven't you?
Twin, yeah.
And you both got, so who got in the fight game first? So take us back to your early childhood. What were it like growing up together? With a twin brother and a brother, were you always competing?
It was together, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I'd started, so when we were younger, at that kind of age, we wanted to do karate. Karate Kid had just come out, so everybody was doing karate.
Right,
and Bob Sykes, who's a good friend of mine now, his son's one of my students, he had the Karate Warehouse in town, and everybody, it was like the big place for people to go, and we wanted to do that. And my mum and dad didn't want us kicking and punching each other.
How old were you then? What age were you?
Well, it'd been about, what do you reckon, 5, 6, 7?
Yeah. I was like 5, so you'll have been 7.
Yeah. And they had some friends who were who did judo instructor. So rather than having us kicking and punching, they sent us down to judo, which obviously, like, their long-term plan failed, didn't it? Like, fairly miserably, you know what I mean?
Yeah, instead of kicking and punching each other, which I know you've done with Dave in a ring anyway, haven't you?
Better in a combined environment.
So the judo was, for me, was a good base for us, and especially, like, if you look at how things developed, for mixed martial arts, it was brilliant to start with that sort of a base. So we did that, and then I started doing the Thai boxing, and then upstairs from where I was doing Thai boxing, it was the old YMCA that's been knocked down now in Huddersfield. There was the boxing upstairs, a guy called Horace Fleary, a real good boxer from Huddersfield. So I worked on doing both those. So constantly doing the martial arts, and again Andy working on the judo. We competed at Richard Dunn Sports Centre, so we got a taste for competing at a very young age.
I was first competing at 5, wasn't I?
Yeah,
5.
So it just shows you, like, I think getting out there and doing that in front of a crowd, like the old, I don't know if Richard Dunn Sports Centre is still open, but it was like the old big tiered seating, the 3 judo mats at the bottom, so we got used to that from very young, and you get a taste for it, you know.
I'm going to say, were you winning at a young age as well? Is that what gave you the kind of confidence to carry on doing
winning and losing? I can remember early losses, but I can also remember getting the throw and holding someone for the 30 seconds, you know, in the judo to...
did that give you a kick when you got into that, when you got in there and you could see that you are...
I think so, yeah. And then working through with the amateur boxing and stuff, we used to get everyone down to my mum and dad's garage. We'd all put the boxing gloves on, and all his mates would just, like, hammer each other. You know, like, and we were pretty much, like, getting the better of people, you know, like, it was a good thing. It was like a little competition. The thing is, like, and you see a lot of... there's a lot of research into it, and how twins, you're basically constantly trying to escalate your level because you're competing against each other. You see it very much with the Cray twins, and they're saying, like, the levels of crime were going up and like this, and you know, there's a lot of research into it. And I think that competition where you're always trying to one up each other, that probably led into a lot of where we got into the fighting, and Andy was brought along with that as well. And obviously, like, I mean, Andy wouldn't have competed the level he had if he didn't have the competitive streak the same, you know. I think the 3 of us were always constantly competing with each other.
So what's made you transfer across? Obviously you started in judo and then heading across towards the mixed martial arts. Where did the extra curiosity come from? Why not just stick at, say, judo? Why have you then gone boxing, MMA, obviously high level jiu-jitsu and jiu-jitsu coach now and things like that? Where's that curiosity come from? Is it because obviously you're good at something, why think, right, I can be good at everything else?
Yeah, the martial arts
UFC too, wasn't it?
Yeah, the martial arts was always there.
And then as soon as we got the opportunity, so we found a guy called Les Allen that was down in Halifax, and he'd competed in the Tokyo Dome in the Pancras Association.
He was part of the Lions Den with Ken Shamrock and stuff. Yeah. That's how we ended up finding it, because I'd got the Ken Shamrock book, which had got, like, some submission moves and stuff in the back. And you got to think, at this point, I've done judo, Thai boxing, competed at a decent level. And when we saw UFC 2, which came out for some reason before UFC 1 in the UK, so when we'd seen that, it was like, wow, this is brilliant. Like, you can test everything. Yeah. So it was like, this is what you want to do, Ultimate Fighting. That sounds brilliant. Do you know what I mean?
Doing that in the garage.
So we started doing that, yeah. So rather than punching each other, we're like literally trying to leg lock each other and all sorts of stuff. Like the old Ken Shamrock book, it had, like, heel looks in it. Which, and you know, Nick, you fixed my broken joints. Like, we didn't know the damage we were doing to each other at that point, because we're just looking at moving a book and trying to do it, and then watching it on the TV. Do you know what I mean? So, like I said, that kind of sort of developed, and again, straight into competing as soon as we could. We went into the Submission League, which was a guy called Carl Tanswell, who's one of the leading martial artists in the country. Someone I always respected as well, because with Bob Sykes and having Martial Arts Illustrated, and Carl Tanswell was always in there. We used to buy these martial arts magazines as kids. So even when we were just boxing, we'd be getting stuff like that. And Carl Tanswell was always at the head of the development of martial arts. He went from, you know, like when the kickboxing, full contact kickboxing started in the country, he was there doing that. Then as the jiu-jitsu and mixed martial arts came in, he was doing that. Someone I was respected and was, you know, I considered a good friend up until his death. Again, these are all sort of people when we started out in mixed martial arts, even before it was really called mixed martial arts, or had a set name. You know, there was some places it was still called free fight and things like that. And these are the sort of people that inspired us and were friends. Do you know what I mean? What
did it do for you? So I know what were you both like at school then during that period? Because obviously you mentioned off camera yourself, Ian. Is that, even though it does give you discipline, you know, when you went to school, you told me you got suspended and you went to prison. Was it during school?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, in my 5th year at school. That was just like with fighting at school. I think.
So when you were fighting at school, did it not give you discipline not to fight as well, or did you not? Were you in it, or were you in a position where you had to retaliate?
I think I got that. I definitely got that later, and it's something that I will describe as the fact that like one of the things about learning how to fight is it gives you the confidence not to have a fight. Yeah, it's very different at school. You've got a lot of guys with testosterone going through the roof, and we wouldn't be in the position we are, and have done the things we've done in the past if it wasn't for the fact that we had high testosterone as kids. You know, I think there's a lot to be said for it. I'm not trying to blame it all on hormones, but you know, definitely like we were kids with high testosterone. We wanted to fight. We wanted to do stuff. So when you've got other kids at school that are similar, that's
how do you rein that in then? So I know obviously you've got the three of you there doing that, obviously doing very well at it. Were the people behind you that were reining you in a little bit, or was it a lot bouncing off each other to say like, look, if we're going to go into this type of stuff, we have to kind of control it, or did you have people?
Nah, I don't think there was much to control it when you're younger. I don't think, and we had.
You choose your time and your place a lot as well, don't you?
Yeah.
So in school, I behaved pretty well. I don't think I was that bad.
You did have fights.
Well.
You just didn't get caught.
Fights, just didn't get caught. It's like time and a place. So you go off the school grounds to have fights or whatever. We were fighting with like older people and that as well, weren't we?
Yeah.
What were it like going to prison at a young age though? At that time, Ian?
Oh, do you know what? Like, it's not something that I fancy doing again, but you know, it's a complete waste of your time. The thing as well, I think, with the young offenders compared with maybe the adult jails, you know, you're sort of 16 to 18 again. Everyone's got high testosterone. Everyone's wanting to have a fight and prove themselves. You know, it certainly teaches you a lesson. But for me, like I said, I feel like I don't have enough time in my day anyway. You know, with everything that I want to do, and that for me, it's dead years. I've seen like you see the guys with the prison tattoos in America. I don't know which of the gangs it is, where they have like the gravestones with the years on, call them dead years, and that's exactly what it is. It's dead years. I know, you know, if you're there for long enough, you can do a degree or you can do this, but it's still dead time. Like how you're running businesses, how you're providing for your family, doing whatever you're doing. It's not the sort of place that anyone wants to be, is it?
So moving into like your adult years, both of you then, and knowing like, you know, early years, you sound like you're full of energy, you're full of get up and drive and go. As we know, like we've got parents around us who try and, you know, manage us as much as they can. When you're in that adult world, you're now let loose. So what's the mindset for you both at that stage when you were going to adult years? Want it to focus, I know you went into Cage Warriors and got into the ring, want it to focus fully on going professional and achieving at the highest level in that game, in that pursuit?
That's all we really thought about, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Competing as professional fighters, that's all we really wanted to do. Yeah. And then because there was no facility around to do like full MMA, that's when we sort of put the gym together.
Yeah, so
we put a really good facility together.
So I just finished, I did my first degree and I'd won a British University Gold boxing, and Andy was doing the national championships and stuff, and then like I said, we got into the mixed martial arts, and it was like, right, well, do you know what? This is what we want to do. I was working at AstraZeneca at the time, and it was like, right, no, do you know what? If we're going to do this, we need to do it fully. Quit work, do everything, build a gym, and we built the first gym in the country with a cage, like a fully kitted out facility. We had people travelling from all over to come and train at the gym because it was like the first one, you know. We're bringing guys like Eddie Bravo over, who was one of the top grapplers in the world. I had Gerald Strabent, who was his first black belt, who was a good guy, John Kavanagh, who trained Conor McGregor. He's a good friend of ours. He used to come over and he'd do seminars. He had really good grappling at the time. Well, he's got really good grappling now, but especially compared with the level of other people. So we had sort of a hub for mixed martial arts where people were traveling from all over to come and train with us, from being young, and it was good. Like we loved it, didn't we? We put everything into that place, and we were open there from 2003 through till 2009. I fought in Japan and America in 2009, and then
how did that come about? I know obviously we've represented England going over to Japan, and how has that even come about? Like, I know obviously you've started from MMA wasn't obviously that big in the UK at the time, a lot bigger in other countries. How have you managed to build that platform to then go, right, I'm off to Japan, obviously a Team England, as underdogs?
We did well.
Wrong, you off before you got there.
Dave was the coach on the team. There was myself fighting and some of our other guys from the North. The North had a real strong background for the mixed martial arts. We had some real good guys like Rob Broughton, Matt Thorpe, Tom Blackledge again. All guys you can see now are really good coaches in their own right, and who were the top fighters at the time. And we went away as a team. There's guys at the different weights, and it was Andy Lillis, to be honest, who was the main driver. He'd bought Cage Warriors. He was running the event. Me and him were still our friends. I talked to him on a regular basis, although unfortunately he's locked up till 2032. But he was a big push, a big drive for mixed martial arts in the country at that time, and he had the links with M1 and stuff, and he helped put the team together and get everything sorted for us doing that. So it was good. Like the M1 challenge in 2009 was basically. They got like the World Cup of Mixed Martial Arts, so they had teams from every country, all the main countries that do mixed martial arts all around. It was, it was a huge, very bold idea for them to think that they could do that, and they did. They pulled it off. We were in all different countries, America, Brazil. They did different parts of the competition all the way through to the end, and. Vadim Finkelstein, who's the president of M1 Global, like to put that together, and the girls there as well behind the scenes that organised it. It's just amazing, and it was good for me as well, like to be involved in that, to do the fighting, and then I retired that year because of the damage to my face and stuff. I was sort of forced into retirement, and M1 gave me the job then as the commentator. So then from 2009 till today, I work doing all the commentary for their events and stuff. So it's worked out. It opened some real good doors for me. To a point where I could make a lot more money doing commentary than I could ever do fighting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I was just going to say that to you. So during your fighting days, both of you, obviously it's different to boxing, isn't it? Excuse me, when you're just starting up, especially trying to get into that game in cage. And even now, in UFC, they talk about it. Even the professional UFC fighters, like the paid pittance compared to probably pro boxers. What were you doing outside of fighting in the cage, and when you're building this up, like to fund, your personal living and all these other things? What were going on personally outside of you actually fighting?
Well, I was a pro boxer, so I fought pro MMA before I did the pro boxing, because I went back into the amateur boxing.
Okay.
So then turned pro, and with that, it's not that much money.
Yeah, sponsorship.
Well, if you think Andy boxed Billy Joe Saunders as a professional at Upton Park, didn't you? And without talking too much about what you got paid, it's like
nothing compared to what you'd expect.
If you
for
look
fighting
at
a future
that was one of the fights where Andy actually had a bit of a camp to prepare for it. If you look at what you got paid and the weeks it cost to get ready, like. I'm not saying you get more than the door, but it doesn't work out.
More than what you get.
So that one was not too bad, but like building up to that, like your first few fights, like you would probably be better off on benefits.
And what are you thinking at that time? What are you thinking at that time when you're going to the ring against someone like Billy Joe, who I know at the time was supposed to do like Olympics, wasn't he? Before all that.
He did do the Olympics, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so he fought you off back of the Cuban in the Olympics.
Yeah, so if you look at his fights, I think he had 70 amateur fights around that. Lost one to the Cuban who ended.
That's what I mean.
So won every national title.
So the only loss when Andy's looking at to prepare for a fight like that, you've got a guy who's only losses to the Cuban
Exactly.
Olympic champion.
So I was just going to ask you that question. So when you got, it's different, as we know, pro boxing to cage and all these things. Like, what's your mindset going into that? Because from their side, and we see this because I'm a big boxing fan, when they get, they get their journeymen, they call them, right?
Yeah.
They're expecting, Billy's going to blow this guy away, or we'll just handpick him to build up the record and get him experience. What's your mindset, though, going into a fight like that?
So I went in, like, really confident. I didn't expect him to be, because obviously I've sparred with world champions.
Yeah.
I've been around really good guys. I've fought good guys as well. He's leagues above any other guys that I've been in with, as far as technique wise goes. Like, maybe punch power I've been in with, like, heavy hitters, but
just sleep.
Going into it, I was really sharp, feeling really good. I was in with very good fighters, so I was getting like a fresh guy each minute in sparring, so I was getting all the different types of styles, and obviously they're going at a sort of 100% with me, so I felt like on top of the world, and I thought I've got a good chance with this guy. So then when you're actually in with him, like, I felt like if I had a super soaker and I was spraying, like, I wouldn't be able to hit him. I think took me maybe 3.5 rounds before I started even
figuring
sort of,
it out,
like, landing anything. If you
But
look
you
at the
said
punch
you'd
stats,
start-
it was a nightmare.
Andy's in the corner and he's saying to Mick Marsden, who's his coach at the time, because Billy Joe Saunders must be really good at timing the rounds, for his fitness. So Andy could hear him gassing towards the end of each round. He's saying, I'm going to have this
It's
guy.
like, it's, like when you're coming into a clinch, you could hear him going, after the first round, I've sat down and my manager says to me, he's gone, Andy, you took a few shots there, are you all right? So I said, I'm going to stop this guy. after one round, I'm there thinking, like, I've got him tired. I'm going to have him. Then he's come out. He's like, bah, 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 move like sort of 10-punch combinations. I'm thinking, where's that come from? He was shattered a minute ago.
It's exciting, though. I mean, to say that you fought, up to Park. Who were the main event? Who were the headline acts in that?
That was Katsidis versus Mitchell. Down at Upton Park on football.
Nice. What were the plan thereafter for you then? What were your journey looking at in boxing thereafter? Because I know you said you had Mick Marsden, and he's well respected in these parts of this, especially with a lot of different type of boxers. So what were the plan for you as a pro boxer then? Because like we mentioned going back, is your route would have been completely different to someone like Billy. So what were your thoughts and plans, and especially coming off the back of learning?
That was my last pro fight. So what I did with that one was Mick said, look, you've got your baby due in 2 weeks.
Yeah, okay.
Have a bit of a break. He said you've been training hard, you've had quite a lot of fights and whatever over this period. Well, saying that, I'd had a year out there, but I'd had like fights building up to that. Anyway, I just ballooned in weight. Yeah. My kid came along, I'd relaxed. It's the first time I'd not really been sort of training.
This is a key thing. I don't know whether you guys have seen it, but maybe from us where we had to be so strict with the weight and stuff for the fighting. They talk about women putting on weight with kids and pregnancy. I put on weight with all three of my kids pregnant. No, so maybe not my son. I wasn't as, like the same with his, but with both my daughters, I put on pregnancy weight, and
I can relate to that, mate.
Yeah, and it's like
I've recently, like, if it wasn't for Nick, like, honestly, believe it or not, I were 100 kilo only 8 months ago, and that's after we had my second newborn. And so Nick, it's a funny story actually. We went away. He's fucking chewing down on his fucking...
Mate, I had 3 eggs. Eggs. And he's gone and sat in the back of my car because it's got a table, and I'm chauffeuring round while he's on a foot-long subway.
And
I'm there eating 3 eggs, just trying to get my protein
and it's
hit.
like what you're saying to the moment. Nick goes, mate, you want to pack that shit in? I'm like, what's he on about? This is normal stuff, innit? And I looked at Nick and I thought, fucking hell, he's looking in shape, looking good now. And then that got me into it, but I can relate to that because, like, now I'm down to 84 kilo. Like, I've lost I've lost 16 kilo then.
Mentally, you're better.
You're right, like, mentally. Like, I thought I were in a good space when I had my little one, thinking, I'm driven all this stuff, but my fucking weight just blew.
It does, and do you know, and that, so that timing with having the kids, and you start to realise, wait, look, this fight game's not really one that's going to be able to support a family, and that's when we start sort of focusing the business stuff.
That's
a lot more on,
obviously financially.
Yeah, you've just got to start thinking about, do you know what, this dream of being the world champion, and
I'd had losses, you'd had losses. You can't last out forever.
Up until that point, then, what kept you in the grind? Like, people don't see it. We spoke off camera. How long are you in the ring for? Potentially 10, 20 seconds up to maybe 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And how many weeks of grind you putting in just for that?
Discipline. Like, I say all the time to the guys I'm training, it's like everyone can have motivation, and I get guys all the time. I want to be this, I want to do this. Like, yeah, just tell me that in six months' time when you've seen how hard it is to train constantly. I mean, like I said, I quit my job at AstraZeneca to fight full time, and I was training Monday to Friday twice a day, and then I was training on Saturday morning, and then I'd rest for a couple of days. I found that was the best way for my body, to do it. I know we a little bit later because we went over to Kerry Kay's gym, didn't we? Saw Hatton and that training, and they were doing they'd do Monday, Wednesday, Friday hard, and Tuesday, Thursday they'd do steady, or if they felt like they needed a day off, they'd have a day off there, which I did think ended up being better, because 5 days is a lot to be doing twice a day. You know, I'm doing maybe my sparring in the morning and then heavy weights and things like that on a night. So we did develop things over time, but as a general rule, it was like 5 days of training plus a Saturday morning where people had come from all over to travel down to do sparring and things like that, and then I'd have 2 days to let my body recover, and to be living that constantly over and over. And that's where I got a lot of I had a lifestyle where I'd train for 6 to 8 weeks for a fight, and then I'd party hard for 4 weeks afterwards, and then get back to it and stuff, which probably led to a lot of the health problems that I had later on. You know, like with burst ulcers and things like that, because you know, I definitely, when you say about being disciplined, I mean, I think it's a very interesting thing to look at on a psychology basis. Is what's the difference between discipline and addiction? You know, are you disciplined at training, or are you addicted to training? Like, they're very, very close, aren't they? And I was definitely disciplined at both training and partying. You know, I was consistent for 6 weeks training, and I was very consistent at 6 weeks partying. You know, I didn't take days off on that either. And it's like, do you know? And so is that why is that called addiction and not discipline? You're like, I really stuck at it. Do you know what I mean? And then I stopped, and then you know, that probably ran me into some of my health problems, and then. 6 years ago, on the 7th of April, I ended up with a burst ulcer, and you know, and up to that point, I'd really focused on the partying a fair bit. You know, I'd hammered it, and my body gave up. You know, I'm lucky that I'm still here. So at that point, then it's like, right, okay, well, the discipline kicks in again, right? Okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to get back to pushing my businesses, get back to pushing my health, my training, my education. Things like that, and I've done 6 years now without touching anything, you know. So,
which is amazing, by the way. Obviously, Andy the same. Don't drink as well.
1998 is the last time I had a drink or a drug.
98.
So that was GCSE results night, and then started competing at the boxing after that, and then never touched.
Touch on
anything.
that. It'd be interesting for you to touch on that actually, because I don't drink as often as what I used to do. I used to be a big drinker. I feel like the culture now, drinking's kind of. There's a lot of 0% coming out, and the people are more open-minded to all of that. I was a big drinker. I used to drink a lot, and since I've given up on the drink, I only drink it every now and then. Said I had a pint last night at City, but you had to have fucking 5 pints to watch that shite last night. I still love you, Bradford.
Yeah, we can see your trigger here, can't we?
Careful. But no, like since I've given up, my fucking head is clear. My motivation, my drive. It's just so much clearer in direction of where I'm going in my life. So have you found that with yourself as well, giving up the drinks?
Yeah, 100%.
So, and I know you were young doing it at the time, but
but you see other people that were drinking at the time, and they'd be 2-3 days later, you'd see it was still affecting them in the gym. Like, they won't be getting the sort of 100% out of a training session. So you don't want to be going in at less than your best. Like, why would you do that to yourself?
If you watch, I slipped in my later parts of my career, and I was doing well early on, but I had got to the point where I'd be strict all through the week, and this is when I was supposed to be doing a 6-week camp, and then on the Friday I'd do my test weigh-in, and I'd get pissed on a Friday night, but only 1 day a week. But I was waiting for that one day. That's when you know you're starting to get a problem. Like, it's like, I need that release.
Yeah, were it a kick for you then? Like I said, a release for you. You were excited for it to come because of the buzz you got from it?
I don't know. I just genuinely I love getting smashed. Like,
for
I like partying. I really, really enjoy it. Like, I'm not saying I'll stop for any other reason than just my health and my kids. Like, that's why I don't do it. I need to be successful and to do this, and I need to be, like you say, to guide my kids the right way, and the last thing I want is them to be seeing me getting smashed. But I really do enjoy it. Like, who's to say that when they're 18 and they've moved out and stuff, I might not go back?
But that probably goes back to like culture back in 90s. It were a big party. Like 90s were a big party. When it out, its culture is different now. Yeah,
I'd like to think so, but I think the drugs and stuff that people are taking are slightly changed as well. And I mean, like you look at you know, if we're going back to addiction, we've got kids vaping at like 13, 14, like not even bothered that they're going to get this popcorn lung and all this sort of stuff. It, like, to me, it's society needs a big shake-up right now. I think there's some real issues. And then you've got to look at, is this intentional? Like, are they weakening society for a reason? You know, like, I think that could be another hour of a podcast. I think we'll leave that. But, you know, definitely things need a shake-up. They're trying to get rid of masculine men who are being those sort of guidance. You know, like
great people.
Great people. They don't want that. No, they just want a lot of followers.
Yeah. And that's why they feed into, like I always say, if you look at anywhere in a certain area, there'll be a bookies there, there'll be an off license, there'll be all these other things, vape shops, and they all put them in those certain areas because they think, right, we'll try and, you know, keep them where they need to be. And this is why we say, like, reality is, I don't care if you're born from your own mother in wherever it may be, we all came out from his mother's womb. Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, no one makes anyone different apart from what they portray. They go out and they fucking made it for their own of what they decide that their decision is. So based on what you know from your past and what you've done, I understand, are you both working with fighters now? Both of you? Or is it just yourself who's working with the fighters?
No, Andy does bits as well. He works doing boxing with guys, and he's obviously like refereeing and judging. He works around boxing a lot.
So what's both your approach to your fighters now then, knowing that you know what you've gone through both at the same time? What influences are you trying to give back to them?
Pushing good basics.
Yeah.
So the thing with both of us, when we were going into fights, we'd like say to each other, "Oh, I'm gonna try to land a triple left hook today." You know,
you do it in the Seychelles, don't you?
Like
hitting triple left hooks and stuff because I've been watching Roy Jones Jr.
But then, if you actually think about it, you know, like was it a Mike Tyson quote where he said, "You're old too soon and wise too late."
Yeah.
You know, if I'd stuck to good basics throughout my career, I'd barely lost the fight because I remember my coach used to say to me, "Andy, jabs only." So I'd use a jab against anybody that came in the gym, and I wouldn't lose a round.
Mark Reynolds, like a big shout out to him because he used to hammer at us. It'd be like back to basics.
Back to basics.
We're like, oh, what's he being boring for? Like, but now as a coach, I look back and go, he was totally right.
Yeah,
And
good basics, and I bet that's in any sport. You know, if you've got good basics,
definitely, exactly.
You'll win.
And there's a huge transition between sport and business. I think one of the key things for me with coach, and me and Andy have discussed this a lot, is I don't try to teach every one of my fighters to be like I am because they're all different. Yeah. And very much myself and Andy were similar because we're self-motivated and we've got that discipline and training. I cannot be coached by someone who's got that sort of military style of telling you what to do. You know, that sort of negative reinforcement. That's not for me. I need positive reinforcement and encouragement, and then just to be let to carry on doing, because I don't need to be put down. And I think that's helped me as a coach because I can see which ones of my athletes will respond better to different ways to coach, and I teach each of them differently. And that's been over. I've been teaching grappling now for like over 20 years. I was teaching boxing and stuff before that, and being a student myself and knowing how I responded differently to different coaches. I think that sort of experience, it's hard to, that can only just come with time on the mats as both a student and as a coach. And I think that's probably the key thing, is that he's teaching everyone as an individual.
Yeah, you
let
see
them find their own way, as in give them the basics and then let them find their own little ways of doing things.
Yeah,
it's a leader, isn't it? That's the leader. Between difference between a boss and a leader, I say.
Yeah.
The boss will tell you what you need to do this, do that, do that. Whereas a leader will guide you in what you need to do, and you'll find your own route with regards to what you're doing there.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly that, and I think it's the same with business as well. I mean, me and Andy do most of our businesses together, and some of them have just developed from things we were doing anyway to make money, leading up to while we were fighting, and then things had to be a bit more organised and things when, like I say, when we had families and stuff. But a lot of the stuff that you take from the discipline from fighting is very good as discipline for business.
Absolutely, that's like me. So me, obviously a business mentor, I've got 40, 50 clients. I say to them all, and this is why Nick's probably one of my key clients, if not even why he's done so great, is that from when Nick joined me and he said, right, what have I got to do to get to here, Paul? I said, it won't happen overnight, although it did for him, but that's because he put in the work, is you've got to do those basics. And this is where business owners and even people in TV, sport, whatever it is you're trying to achieve, is they're always looking for the next fucking shiny thing and someone to come in and sprinkle that glitter or that magic fairy's going to come and say, this is how you do it now. But it's not. It's the resilience, it's the patience of doing the basics really well, which you get even better at, and then everything else starts to fall into place.
You just nailed there with your boxing and what you were saying. If I stuck to the basics and back to the basics.
Going back to an earlier podcast that we did, George Groves mentioned also that, he said in the boxing, where we asked him what made him great, he said, I just did the basics really well.
Solid basics.
Yeah. So he did that during his career, which is what I should have done. And like I can look back, so he's learned that earlier than I did. Yeah.
One of the things now with grappling, and I think I don't think it's just with the grappling, but I think with just with social media in general, is that there's all these fancy YouTube moves and these fancy reels and stuff, and everyone's wanting to do this, and I'm trying to say, I literally see Mark Reynolds in my head telling me to do the basics.
Let's go back to basics.
And I'm saying to the guys, listen, you just need good solid foundations. Let's work on the fundamentals, and they want to do flying arm bars. But I do it because it's fun, and I realise now, because I went through that. Now it's do you know what? These bits are fun. Yeah. So you got to have the fun bits as well as the fundamentals. Keep them interested, doing these bits that to me are low percentage, and then we'll do a little, so I can do low percentage 10% of the time, and then 90% on solid foundations.
Yeah, exactly. And if you have the foundations right, all this fancy stuff can fall into place. If you look at someone like Ben Whittaker now in the boxing game, how flashy does he look, and everyone fucking loves him, but he does the basics so well, and he actually reads to see, right, can I get away with at least 30 seconds of the fight to look flashy? But if you watch, actually, that's what people look at, the 30 seconds. They don't actually see the 2-minute 30 in that round. He's done the basics so well. He gets his footwork and his movement, and it's you say, even Michael Van Page, they look at him fighting MVP in the cage or whatever, and they think, oh, he's fancy doing this. But again, he does actually basics really when it comes out. He does the basics well.
I can't watch him, I'll be honest. That's not my sort of fighting that I like. But he does do things well. But it just, with the little bits of cringe in them.
Yeah, it's good. The Pokemon thing that time. Jesus Christ. So look, I want to go back to early days with yourself here, Ian. The fucking Danny Dyers thing, how did that even fucking come apart? That's random, right?
No, that was, again, there was a couple of people in the first series, so we did the second series.
So just so people know, Danny Dyers Deadliest Men.
So there's Danny Dyers Deadliest Men. They did the first series. There was a couple of guys, Barrington Patterson, and stuff that were on the first series. And then the second one, Danny Dyers Deadliest Men Living Dangerously, which is the one we did, where they actually got him to get in, and we called it experiential, I think, when he had to get involved and stuff like that. So I think we were the first one he filmed of that, even though it wasn't shown in that order. We were the first one that he filmed of that series, and that basically was they just were talking to people in the first series, who do you think could be good to be in the second one? So I think that it's all word of mouth in it.
But how did that first series come about? How did they approach you?
So when they got in touch, it was again through Andy Lillis. They'd spoke to him. They'd done the stuff with Barrington Patterson, who was a kickboxer. He was in the first one, and he was involved with the Birmingham Football Club and stuff like that. The football hooligans and things. So it all came out from there. So we all sort of know each other in the sport. Do you know what I mean? So I got the call, and they asked. I was actually just preparing to fight in Japan. So they spoke to me. I remember because I was in the hospital. My son had just cracked his head open on a plant pot. It was only little. So I was at the hospital when I got the call about it, and it was like, "Do you want to do this?" I'm like, "Yeah." It was the same with to be honest, those last two fights in M1, I got the phone call. I was well out of shape. I'd not really trained that hard for a while because things were. My son had just been born and things like that. And then it was like, we've got a fight for you in Japan, and are you fit? Yeah. Because you deal with it afterwards, don't you? I'm a hell fit, do you know what I mean? I was very, very far from it, but it was like, look, I'll do anything I possibly can, because fighting in Japan's a dream. And like I said, the Danny Dyer program then followed on with that, so the two things went along together.
Did that title give you a buzz? Sorry, the title of this show when they rang you at an early age saying Deadliest Men, I can imagine being your position. I'd be having my ego king go fucking damn right.
I just thought it'd be fun, you know. I'd seen Danny Dyer in The Business. I'd not seen any of his other films. That's when he came up. It was not because for any other reason that I just hadn't seen any. But The Business is one of my favourite films. You know, it's really good. Do you know what I mean? And so to meet him and have a bit of a laugh and everything. We filmed 40 odd hours for that to be shown in an hour. So when it was shown on TV, we didn't know what they were going to show out that 40 odd hours. And
chasing rabbit suits,
all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
Did he actually train with you though? Because obviously portraying.
Do you know what? He got stuck in and he trained really hard. You've got to think fair play to Danny Dyer. It's not just that he that he trained hard with us. He did the high diving. I was doing some high diving because I wanted to get. I don't believe that anyone should be scared of anything. It's irrational to have this sort of fear of heights. Yeah. So I went to do the high diving like that was to get over, like just to sort of mental teach myself. Yeah, and he jumped in with me as well because he don't like the heights.
Scared of heights.
And yeah, he said he was scared. So I'll come and do it with you. Like fair play to him. He got involved in everything. Like, and I think. You know, like he's got that sort of tough mindset because he was running up and down the stairs with us. He was jumping off the thing. He got involved in the circuits. These circuits are not easy. Martin Stapleton, who was one of our old fighters, a very good friend of mine, he was a PTI in the Royal Marines. He's got his own gym now over at Rochdale, which is, you know, an amazing gym. Like sort of 10 years after we did ours, he's done everything you possibly want in a gym. And he designed the circuits, and Danny Dyers just got involved, did everything. It's like, you know, and he was sick. He trained to the point where it made himself sick. So that, you know, that fair play to the guy. You know, I can't knock that.
It's a big contrast to what we've spoke to in the past on the podcast with kind of the TV side, where it's all a little bit not fake, but it's all
staged. Isn't
a bit staged, where they'll take bits from minute 1 and crop it with minute 4 or 5.
He actually wanted to get involved, and he was such a nice guy as well.
Yeah, really nice guy, and like I said, got really stuck involved. I give that guy a lot of respect.
Did anything come off the back of that to help the brand, as in like the Butlin Brothers brand?
Yeah, well, do you know, like for me, probably the fact that, you know, I got involved there with the commentary and stuff like that, because you get a name for yourself, so that was 2009 we filmed that. I think it might have been shown 2010, early 2010. By that point, I was already doing the commentary then in Russia, and still doing UK shows. So again, for the brand and for the commentary, to work on the fight shows and stuff, it was a positive. And as much as anything, like I really enjoyed doing it. Like it was a good laugh. Andy was involved, although Andy wasn't on the.
Say you weren't on it much, was you?
He wasn't on it at all. And the reason for that was at the time. The British Boxing Board of Control was really against mixed martial arts because they were seeing it as a competition, something that was coming as competition. So because Andy had the Board of Control license, he couldn't do any of the story. He couldn't be shown on. He could have lost his license.
A lot of questions, you know, because it wasn't even an interview. I just spoke to somebody ringside at one of the boxing events, and I told him about my background and that we had a gym and this kind of thing. And I was training MMA fighters in a boxing gym. Next thing, they've put it up on BritishBoxers.net, and then the Board of Controls got in touch and they'd highlighted all these bits that I shouldn't have said and that I had to explain away, you know, like what's your involvement in the sport and all that. No.
They've realised that they can sort of work together and sort of maybe even in
It's
synergy with each other. With the promotion and stuff.
Well, there's some frustrations from that then. Like obviously with you and your twin brother Dave on there.
Yeah.
They wanted the three of us on there and
it would have been a different. Like I
said, take a step back.
We filmed 45 hours. It would have been a different program with the three of us, where they had to sort of focus it in a certain way because of.
They had filmed it and put it in, but then I got this letter through at that time.
Nice. So moving into your business ventures then. So what have you got going on business wise at the moment then, both of you?
Well, we've got Black Cairn, which is the company me and Andy had, which developed out of us doing debt collects and stuff from when we were younger. You were
doing the debt collecting work.
Yeah, we work in what's very like not like your standard debt collectors. It's like difficult to collect debts. You know, when people have had a big loss and things like that. And it's very different to how you do. It's not like we go knocking on doors of people that are like struggling to pay their debts. It's people that have ripped people off, you know, in different ways. And
the debt collectors you don't want coming to your door, basically.
Yeah, I work a lot on open source intelligence. So by the time me and Andy turn up to do these sort of collects, we've got so much information on people. We can prove that they've ripped the money off, and you know we work on big debts on a large amount, and we collect 50% of anything we collect in. So it's not the same. But we're not knocking on people's doors who are struggling to pay £1,000 or anything like that. These are people that have seriously ripped people off, and we do all the background behind it. We do all the open source intelligence searches, and by the time we turn up on people, we know exactly what. There's no talking out of it. Do you know what I mean? So that's how we sort of developed Black Cairn, and then because of the way that we do the intelligence, Black Cairn sort of split into two parts now. There's Black Cairn Private Protection and Black Cairn Private Intelligence. So we've got the intelligence where we look at the, like I said, the searches, the investigations, all that kind of stuff. But because of how good we are at finding people and doing that, we're also good at increasing people's privacy. Yeah. So a big thing at the moment is the data mining. You know, like all these. companies like big tech are just taking so much data from people, from whether it's because you've got a Gmail account or whether you're using Hotmail,
Facebook,
this sort of stuff, or Facebook or Instagram, other social media. So what we do now, we also have phones, computer systems, iPads, and even just like and financial security and privacy as well, working with offshore trusts and things like that. So we help people with both. So we work specifically with high net worth individuals on the security and privacy for their businesses and things like that. We also work on the investigations. Both work well together, and a lot of our clients on the privacy side of things are people that we've worked for doing investigations, and they're amazed at what we can find on the people that have ripped off their businesses and things like that. So, and they're like, could people do that to me? I'm like,
a bit unnerving for them.
It's like, how did you find out all that? Like, a couple of days work sat in front of my computer, and I found out, I've got like
personal information.
Yeah, businesses they've got in different countries. Like the one that we're doing at the moment, I've found a guy's business in Malta, a guy's business that he got in Holland, as well as the businesses in the UK, and basically financial records for this sort of stuff. So it's a lot of it's just experience of knowing how to look and find people. We've had people that have disappeared off to say Thailand and places like that, and they'll put a picture up on social media just about the hotel. The next thing, I'm ringing up the hotel and asking for that person to give me the room number and everything. And then we've got links. Like we've got a very good network of people in cities around the UK, but also worldwide. We had that guy grabbed actually in the Muay Thai gym in Thailand, so they pulled him off and put him on the phone to us. It's like he's run off to Thailand thinking he's got away with some money. So we're like,
he took a picture off his balcony. I know we did the reverse.
It was
camera
the biggest mistake he's ever made.
What hotel he was in, and then.
So you can see like it's very different to what you think of. Like I said, we're not like just sort of doing bailiff work. It's like it's a big investigation. We get that, but it's worth us putting the time into those.
It's work that's necessary done for the client.
Where's all this come from, though? I mean, obviously, we're not going to brush over this. You're both highly educated. Like, you've got the degree side. Like, what's made you obviously go from being the fight side, probably high testosterone, aggression, to then look, right, I need to be educated as well? Where's that? Because obviously you're talking here about some high tech stuff that doesn't come from the fight game. No, like where's the education fit into this? When the fuck do you have time? Like, when have you fucking had time to do all this shit at the same time?
Yeah, why are you doing it?
Why?
I think that, I mean, obviously I did my first degree. I didn't do. When I worked for AstraZeneca, I did the training for the pharmaceuticals and stuff like that. So the ABPI exam and things like that. So I've constantly been learning from leaving uni. But I just believe that the same way as training in the gym, if you're someone who's focused on training in the gym, you should also be training your mind. Like I did the sort of dual MBAC training, they call it brain training, to increase your IQ and stuff. I did that just because I wanted to see if I could make a difference. Yeah. So on IQ tests, where I'm not saying IQ tests are a massive test of intelligence, but it is a standardized test where you can see whether you can actually improve that, the neuroplasticity of your brain and things like that. I do believe that you should constantly be training your body and training your mind. It stops you getting things like dementia. I had brain scans when I finished boxing because I was having sort of memory problems, which I think is probably more down to abuse than it is to any damage. Like I said, there was no physical damage to my brain, but I do believe that, if you want to stay young and in my head, I'm definitely a lot younger than I am in my years on the planet. But I think to stay young, you definitely have to keep working, whether you're improving yourself on a mental basis or on a physical basis. You have to be doing both. Part of my reason for going back and doing a master's now was not so much for myself, although there was things that I was interested in for me, but also to show my kids. My son was getting to the point where he might be going to university or going off doing other stuff, and I wanted to sort of lead by example as well. And I think that that's as much important as anything. So
to both of you then, going off the back of that, it seems like mindset's a big thing in everything, isn't it? In the fight world, in the business world, just in general life. Question to you both: what's your drive? What's your why behind you doing these things? What's your why?
I just like to be the best at anything I do. Like literally, it's a lot of it's competition. I want to be the best. I don't want to be
new challenges, isn't it?
It's new challenges,
With the movies, it's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we got brought in to do the fight choreography, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then because the director liked how we were working, he actually put us into the movie doing the fight choreography, and then off the back of that, he's then, we've
partners
become
in
part of the business,
in the business.
but he's put us as the main roles.
For the viewers here, what business is that then? Obviously, Visage Cinema.
Visage Cinema,
Visage
yeah.
Cinema,
So
this one.
So
you were brought in on the first film
we
that
were
was
involved
made.
in the first film with Thierry. He's a really talented writer, director. He pretty much does the whole thing, like he creates the whole film. So we were brought in on that to do some fight choreography and a few lines, and then the way that we worked with Thierry, really enjoyed, and we helped him with finding locations, and then to help him finish the first film. And then we're involved while they were doing all the distribution. I've been working alongside the distribution company, doing a lot, make sure the paperwork's done and things like that. And talking with John, who does the sound and everything at Soundwave Studios, is brilliant, John Altham. So me and him are working really closely together now. So it's like we sort of just fell into the executive producer kind of role.
Nice.
And helping Thierry. Thierry's brilliant with the creative stuff, but you can know with some creatives, he's not business is not his sort of thing. So me and Andy are guiding through and helping with that side of stuff. And the three of us work so well as a team, like we get on so well. And we film stuff that's not actually even probably going to get used, don't we? But it's just it's just fun stuff. Oh, it might work, and then some of it has worked, and it like.
So what's the goal for the business then? So Visage Cinema, you've obviously got, is it The Furnace, the movie, isn't it?
Enter the Furnace,
Enter the Furnace. So what's the vision? Where you wanted to take this? Like, because you're both driven. Where do you want to take this now? Because filming industry's hard, isn't it? Difficult. Yeah,
it is difficult. I mean, Thierry's done so well. We've done well as a team on the first film. Like our goal's a little bit different with this to probably what you'd think, because for us, we just want to keep making films and letting Thierry give this young lad the platform and the opportunity to make the films that he deserves to make. He's so talented, and I do think that the side effect of that will be success. But success isn't our main goal with this business. Yeah. It's so that Thierry can continue making films. Yes. And I think the problem that he had with the first one, there was one person who was involved who was all about himself and wanted it to be his own fame. And he was using Thierry, and Thierry's the one with the talent. Do you know what I mean? Thierry could literally get anybody in there and make them look good. Yeah. Okay. So
I might give him a ring then.
Hey, you guys. So this is the thing. So with this, like I say, our goal's a little bit different. I fully believe that it's going to be successful, and as a business, it will be successful. Nice. But we're doing that by giving Thierry a platform to work from.
If you know where marketing is, mate, you know where the king's sitting right here. But when go on.
I was going to say, well, obviously you taking Thierry kind of under your wing, so to speak. How are you choosing who you're doing that with? Like, how do you know off the back of that Thierry is going to buy into what you're trying to do mentor-wise and things like that? Because surely there's going to be people in the background that you've tried to do this before and fucked you over. Yeah. Or taking
he don't have a bad bone in his body, this lad.
Okay.
Yeah. Such a good guy, such a talent. And like he's writing scripts between his editing. It's like the guy don't sleep. You know, he's just non-stop, and like his brain's always working. He's like a really creative overthinker. You know, so if there was anything sort of like bad put on him, he'd overthink that. But anything like where we keep it positive, it's just he's overthinking all the time and doing.
If you look back at the experience that me and Andy have got and how things have gone, like that looks like it's a really lucky kind of break. Again, we were talking before about I don't believe there's any such thing as luck. And people have said, "Oh, you're really lucky," and I'm like, "Well, it's lucky if I smoked weed sat on the sofa. You create your own luck." And in 2013, we got involved investing in a first film and trying to produce the first film that we did, which was with someone completely different. And the planning was not right, and there was probably little bits where things... It was a bit ambitious for what we were trying to do, and like I said, the planning wasn't in place, and it ran away with itself, and we lost a lot of money. And so then Andy was put off doing the film stuff for a while. Not only that, he was put off doing other business ideas that I came up with, and I will bring it up.
Might as well,
yeah, might as well. So in 2013-14, when that happened, I said to Andy, look, because I'd read GQ magazine. GQ magazine had an article at the time on this was before I fell out with them about the greatest thing with Anthony Joshua. So I was still reading GQ then, and there was an article about the Silk Road, and it was really interesting. You know what I'm like with tech and everything like that. Anyway, so then I looked on the dark web and looking, and there's this place where you can buy and sell drugs and stuff like that. And obviously it's all done with Bitcoin, so I was looking at that and the opportunities for like sort of selling Viagra and things like that on there. And so at the time I'm like, this Bitcoin's a fucking good idea. So I says to Andy, let's put £1,000 into Bitcoin, the £12 each then.
Jesus.
£12 of Bitcoin. So I says to Andy, like, I think we should invest £1,000. He said, listen, you've just lost us a load of money on that stupid movie idea. He says, no way am I investing any money in this.
You are full of shit ideas. And this just sounds like another of them. So,
do you want to tell him how much we'd have right now?
You worked it out, didn't you? You sent it into one of the group chats to try and embarrass me.
Yeah. It was about 40 million we'd have now.
All right, just pocket change.
So that stupid idea that I had would have been all right, wouldn't it? Yeah, well, like we've done all right. Like I did still have bits of Bitcoin, so it's not like I totally lost out, but definitely would have been a lot better.
Yeah, who would know that were going to happen though?
Well, I predicted it, didn't I?
He's what it is. Well, you both seem like, so what you said there, I spoke about this a few times, the book called The Go-Giver. I'm a big believer in that. So the book is based around, so many people, this is what I don't like about certain individuals. And I'm a good people reader like you two will be as well, because I'm always around individuals throughout my life, where they give and they expect. Whereas a go-giver, it seems like you're both the same, both with the fighters that you train with, both with Thierry, is, you've just mentioned it there, is what do you think the importance is? Like I'm a big believer in, like all my clients, I don't expect anything in return. Of course they pay for a service, but I go above and beyond for the clients. I'm sure Nick can back me up here, where I give to them in order to help them to find their own lane and become great in where they are. So why do you think that's important to be a go-giver, where you give but you don't expect back? Because the things fall into place after that, I know, but where does that come from for you two then to give?
I fully think that all the good stuff that you get does come from doing that anyway. Like with my fighters, I try to put everything I can into them. I'm not wanting anything in return, you know. Like I'm not one of these coaches, like, and I know it happens a lot more in the boxing, where they'll sign you into a contract and they're just trying to push you because they want to make some money off you. I just want to see these guys be the best fighters they can possibly be. I want to develop them. I very much with my classes, I try to keep my classes to about 8 people, because that's when I can get the best out of them. I'm not there to get numbers in and to try and make a business. I don't want it to be a business. Same with Thierry, like I said, it's a lot about having him being able to wake up every day and make movies. But the side effect of that is being successful. So it's like my main goal here is to have something that we're all going to, me and Andy, honestly, like if someone said to you when you're younger, right, when you get older, you can do bits of fight training, commentate on fights, and you can can be doing action films. That sounds awesome. That sounds all right. Well, we can make money out of that. It's like I've said loads of times, like if I won the lottery, my day-to-day stuff wouldn't change very much. Yep. Like I would still do all the stuff I do today. I wouldn't quit anything. It's not like I'm gonna go sit on a beach. I hate that shit. Yeah. Like I don't really like holidays. So I have to go on holiday because my missus and kids like it. But I don't like having a holiday from. I don't have a life I need a holiday from. You know what I mean? I enjoy myself.
I like the way you look at that.
You're the same. He's the same.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, how this has all come about, I won't go into the full story behind it, but it's very similar, obviously, to how I helped you out.
Go into the story.
Off the back. Well,
we don't mind.
Put it this way, my sister got hit by a car. How long ago were it? 6 months ago?
Maybe a little bit more, a year, maybe now.
Maybe a little bit longer. She was on foot, got hit by a car pretty heavily by the sounds of it. Thank God I wasn't there. Did she flip?
She flipped up. She flipped and she landed on her head.
Landed on her head, and there were 2 blokes, and Andrea was there, was he?
That's right.
Yeah, Andrea, your son was there, and these 2 rushed to help her with a lot of, I didn't see the cuts on her head and things like that.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, from what I'm aware of, she pronounced pretty much lifeless at scene.
She'd flopped down, and it was funny because I know you're not going to think it's funny. It sounds like it shouldn't be a funny story, but like I'm used to dealing with cuts in a corner, so I've shot down. Pressure, we put into recovery position. I put the pad on her head and everything, and there's lots of other people around. One of them being a nurse and stuff like that, and they were like panicking a little bit. So
really badly panicking, like no one wanted to.
And I'm like holding it, roll something up, put it underneath the neck support, and all this sort of stuff. And I'm kind of making jokes because that's just what I'm like, you know. Like I'm like, oh, I'll be all right dealing with this. I normally only have a minute, but I've got a bit more time, you know. But I think that helped because she started to come around a little bit, and I think it relaxed everyone else. That we were just we were just so chilled waiting, and then. This was something that was the first time I'd ever seen this. I didn't know that this happened, but I heard this, hello, and I'm thinking, what the fuck's that? Anyway, it's a watch talking to me. So I've grabbed
Oh,
her
the
wrist
Apple
and I've
Watch,
said, hello? Like this. And she's like, has there been an accident? I'm like, yeah, there has actually. And I'm like, and she's gone, are you at these coordinates? How the fuck do I know what the coordinates are? I said, I know what road I'm on. Like this. So anyway, she said, right, there's an ambulance on the way. And I was like, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's the first time I'd seen these Apple Watches did this.
It's
But
because of a trauma or something.
she'd flipped.
It detects it.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
it detects the heart rate change after this.
Fucking good advert for Apple, isn't it?
Yeah, honestly, I was amazed.
On top of that, my son, at 12-year-old, had got on the phone and he'd rung the ambulance as well. So, like, how grown
They'd
up
already had the report,
and how
yeah.
calm. And I think our calmness during the situation had sort of like.
Do you know
pushed
what?
off
Like,
on him as well.
what happened was I heard Andy go, no, and Andy's not one to get shocked easily. When I looked, she'd already been hit. She just dropped like, it looked like just clothing dropping on the floor. So, and then when I jumped out and ran down,
it
and
caught the back of it and it sent her into a
sent her in
spin.
a spin. And it wasn't even going that quick. Like the traffic wasn't going quick at the time. But it shows what a car can do to a human if they catch them right. Like,
The thing that got me off the back of that, like I saw it blew up on Examiner Live, which is the local paper around here.
Yeah.
Especially on the Facebook forum, you had every man and the dog going, "Oh, I did this, I did
Taking
that,
credit.
I did that." Like I saw something random and thought nothing of it at the time. I think it might have said Andy Butlin or Ian Butlin like this.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of people know you in the area. I thought nothing of it. And then you've got kind of Doris and flipping Mavis going, yeah, I helped her, I gave her a coat and this.
Stayed there until the
updates
ambulance
and
came and this and that.
Then there was like a week later, I don't know if it was you. I think
we
it was you
tracked
on
the
it.
house down, and because my son was really concerned about his sister, so we went to see that she was all right.
Yeah.
So we managed to track down where the house was, knocked on the door, and like your sister actually remembered seeing me.
Yeah.
Like at the scene when she.
if you think of where we were, I was sat by the head here, and Andy was holding onto her hand, so she could just so you could feel something. So
like when she
the
came
person
round,
she will
she saw
remember
me.
is Andy was sat there.
Yeah, so
I mean, most people off the back of that, I'd say, oh, look what I've done. But even background, just kind of respecting it. Which is amazing.
As much as anything, I think we were just worried. Like, it's not like you do that sort of thing for praise, is it? Like, it was more. We drove back, so we'd gone to Halifax. Yeah, I think
most people do.
But there people probably never achieved anything in their lives.
Yeah, exactly.
It's likes on social media, I think.
Yeah, how proud are you, your son, mate? I mean, like,
he was brilliant.
That's
He was
such a
brilliant.
good kid.
Well, yeah. To be fair, off the back of that, then I found out. I don't know. I might have messaged. I don't know if I messaged you.
You
both.
messaged me.
I just said, mate, thank you for everything you've done there. Anything you need, and then he sent me a scam report.
I knackered my back doing a stunt for the movie. So off the back of that, I sent him the scan, and I'd sent it to a load of physios previously, and there was only one chiropractor that was positive with me. And all the physios were pretty much like, inevitably you're gonna need surgery.
Your spine's crumbling. You might as well give up life.
He's a magic man, mate. I always say all the time, he's a fucking magic man. I've got an injury.
Yeah. So the next thing, I ended up going there to see Nick after.
He messaged me on Facebook actually going, I've got a list of about 45 minutes. And I think the only thing I said to you was, no, we'll break it down one by one.
Let's break it. We managed to block it into like 3 groups of injuries, didn't we? And we've worked through all of them. And like, honestly, to the point where there was a lot of stuff that I just accepted. That's just how I am, because I could grapple the guys in the gym. Yeah. But then standing up on and walking off the mats was really difficult. Like my hips and my back. Like, so it's like you wouldn't think that the person that's lay on the back doing what they're doing there is the same person trying to walk off the mats. Yeah. Now I'm like, honestly, like I'm
don't get me wrong,
functioning day to day pretty good.
Not about me, but it's more about the go-giver side of it. Off the back of that, then you've sent me in, no expectations off the back of that. Like I'll probably do the same as you guys. I've come and seen Marco in the gym. Yeah. Come seeing Ash Williams in the gym. I'm not expecting, obviously, I have got the business in the side of it. I'll come do them boys
we do
for
joke, don't we? Because we've got a really good business relationship here, and I break people and he fixes them. So it's like a conveyor belt. Like, Nick is slow at the moment. I'll go a bit heavy on the lads.
But yeah, it's just the circles of how many referrals I get off the back of you boys is amazing. Yeah, and I think people need to realise that putting yourself in the right circles with the right people.
And this is another thing I think is key. Like your network is so important. And another thing, like just going back to what you're saying about the reading books, another thing that I constantly like say to people, I know I don't get a lot of time to read books that I want to read at the moment because I'm doing my masters and it's quite intensive on reading stuff. But there's certain books that I just think like are very, very key. I know you just mentioned one there, which is a very good book, but I also think Carol Dweck, Mindset, like that is a really, really good book. And even so far as when you're talking about mindset, and you look at, I always believed I had a growth mindset, you know, and I do think I have in certain areas. But when she talked about the fact that you can have a growth mindset for your sport, for example, but not for your relationship, and I realised I had a fairly closed mindset for my relationship. And once I started to look at that, it's like, do you know what? I can develop the way that I am now in my mindset and look at it in each area. So now I try to have a growth mindset in every single area. Now, like I said, you mentioned mindset. Mindset is something that's really, really key. And for me, that book is an eye-opener. And I think everyone should read it. And, you know, I think there's a study that she did where she went into an inner city school in America, and she had this belief where all kids have got the same potential. They just have to be taught properly. And, you know, you look at things like self-fulfilling prophecy and stuff where teachers label a kid and then they start to get away. And it's something we've talked about a lot because Andy's had problems with the school with his son and things like that. And again, I think that, and I got Andy to read the book as well, and I think for business, for being a parent, for yourself in your relationships, that book is brilliant. And that goes back to, like I said, I'm constantly reading, trying to, not trying to as much for self-improvement, but as just because I think you should always be learning. None of us know anything.
Yeah, you need constant stimulation.
Yeah, constantly stimulating. Constantly, there's little things that you might take that are going to make you a better person and make your life better.
Totally agree. Just before we move forward, I know you've got to shoot, mate. I know we're 12 o'clock, so we'll continue with this for yourself. So look, picking this back up, Andy's had to shoot off. He's doing the greatness of being a great dad and doing
just
daddy chores, daddy shit, get the daddy shit out of the way. So look, picking this back up where we're mentioning from a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more about that. I think that's the key characteristic, isn't it? It's more about the mindset. That's a big thing. And I know, especially when it comes to men, we have that stigma, don't we, where men don't talk, men don't open up, and there's a lot of depression, anxiety, stresses that we go through. But I feel if you can adapt yourself into a mindset of growth more than looking at your problems, it can make a big difference. So what's the importance of you looking at tapping into that kind of side of things?
Yeah, I agree. I just think not just as well as not focus on the positive stuff, but also be fixing and developing. Yeah. Another good book, and I don't want to just go on other people's reading, but if I'm going to say something, there's usually someone that said it better already, you know what I mean? And there's a book by Matthew Said called Black Box Thinking. And if you look at Black Box Thinking, it talks about, obviously, the black box on an aeroplane. And you see, because of the black box on an airplane and the accountability that those pilots have got, you don't get airplanes falling out the sky anymore. And he compares the airline industry with the judicial system in America. And the fact that lawyers and judges are often beyond reproach, like no one wants to question them and things like that. And that's why you still keep having people who are innocent of crime still sat behind bars. And he talks about the medical, like the NHS and things in the UK, and surgeons specifically. And he's saying, if you compare the medical industry in the UK with the airline industry, it's the equivalent of like a Boeing 747 falling out of the sky every single day with mistakes that have been made. And if you look at this as a coach or as a business owner, you need to have that accountability. I'm so big on it, with the kids and everything. It's like, listen, it's not someone else's fault. It's what can you do differently? Even when I was winning my fights, I had fights that I won, and it won fairly convincing. I'd still look at what I could have done differently. What went wrong in my camp leading up to the fight? What went wrong in the fight? And I'm very accountable. And even for, I talk about times when I was partying and doing stuff. Look, if I did something wrong, I'll fully admit I did it wrong and try to improve. You've just got to be like that. Look, it's not someone else's fault. It's never someone else's fault. There's always you that can do something different. And if it is someone else's fault or they've done something, you can't really affect that. You can affect your reaction to it. And I think that it's so important. Like I said, accountability is a big thing with me, and as much as anything, when I'm training the guys, when I'm looking, I hate it when I see coaches who I respect and they're talking about, the referee, it was a bad decision, or there was this. It's like, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, let's not complain about it on social media. The result could have been different, but what can you do differently so you don't even go to points next time?
Yeah. Totally agree.
Control what you can control.
Yeah, exactly. You can't control the uncontrollables. And I think at the same time, when it comes to growth and mindset and all these other things, you've touched on it there, which you've absolutely fucking nailed, is for me as a business mentor and for me helping people to grow, is you do need that mentor, you need that accountability, because for a long time, my ego was so fucking big, and I'm sure there's many people out there listening to this and watching this, where I felt I had it already sussed. I feel like I already know what I need to do. And when I've gone out and done my own thing, and things might happen, but it's slow growth. And then when you have those knockbacks, it doesn't help in the sense of you can't lean on someone. And if you look at someone like, again, Lewis Hamilton, Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi, you see the accolades, the Ballon d'Ors, or the trophies that they win, but they don't see behind the scenes of a therapist, of a physio, of an S&C coach, of family, friends, and a network around them to allow them to be able to stand on that pedestal where it just looks like them, but behind closed doors, they have a network.
The days when you're there and you're feeling close to suicidal, like things are going wrong. It just seems like everything can't go wrong. And, I'm pretty sure we've all had those sort of days, as guys, sometimes we might not want to admit it, but it does happen. It's like, if you're trying to be great and you're trying to succeed, you are going to have knocks, and you have to be able to handle those knocks and come back from them. And I'm not saying you can do it straight away. Like, I've had some dark times, but you just fix yourself up. Like, there's a lot of times, whether it was in my training or even in my personal life, where I've had to have a serious word with myself, and I'm pretty good at like giving myself a real good bollocking in my head, like fucking sort yourself out, mate. Like, you need to sort yourself out. And I think there's a little bit too much at the moment of this, like, you can't tell people to fix up. Oh, well, it could be mental health problems and stuff. But look, a lot of what's called anxiety, or people are saying there's anxiety and they need tablets for, actually, that you need those sort of nerves and that sort of worry. Like, and that's what triggers you to be better. And like, I'm not saying that, I'm not going against mental health and saying that there isn't any, but there's lines, and there's a lot of times where I might have thought to myself, I'm suffering from anxiety or whatever, and or actually, is it the chance that this is where I could be great? This is like, these are the nerves and things I need to really grit my teeth, dig deep, and do something good.
Get comfortable in the
positivity as well. I had this conversation with Andy, went through a session about positive mindset. Yeah. As soon as you nail the positive mindset and someone comes at you positively, you've nailed half of it. Yeah. I think I had it with Marco when he were at Grapple Fest. I could see he had a few little bit of hip tightnesses and things like that. I'm in his head there working with him, going, mate, your hips are perfect. Yeah. Your hips are perfect. Your knees are smooth. Everything's running well. Just to get him into that positive mindset to move. I'll tell him afterwards, look, you could do a little bit of work on here, which is where your reflection comes in. Yeah. But having, again,
there's a time and a place,
and a place to make sure that.
And this is exactly it. And just like you said there, like getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's something I say a lot. And the grappling's a really good example of this. Like, for me, like, if you look at anything to do with neuroplasticity and increasing your intelligence, things like that, they talk about how there's a lot to be said for doing mental brain training at the same time as cardiovascular exercise. For example, sitting on a bike while you're reading a book, you're taking a lot more, your brain can do it, and this has been scientifically proven. And if you think about grappling as a sport, I think it's amazing, because you're problem solving under probably the hardest pressure you can possibly be under. And really, like, especially if you're working in bad positions, I don't like to say there's a bad position, because I think every position is an opportunity for you to do something good. So I like to start with people on my back trying to choke me and stuff. But being able to work and think in that sort of a situation when you're tired, you're drained, you've got someone trying to kill you on your back, that is working your brain. It's getting you used to being comfortable in an uncomfortable position. And I think that, again, is another key thing that you've got to do in all areas of your life. You don't want kids that have been brought up wrapped in cotton wool, because they're not ready for the outside world. You need kids that are disciplined, know how to come back from when they've been disciplined, accept that you've done stuff wrong, and you're going to come back forward. Like I say, I do it with my kids, I do it with the guys I'm coaching, and I do it with myself. I think I'm pretty good at giving myself a real good bollocking when I do something wrong.
Yeah, I think people like you, mate, are definitely people that, people should look up to and be inspired by, because, like I said, even just during this period of this interview here, is you've already gone through that. They could have been in a position where you could have decided to go down the completely different route, gone down in that space. And you probably know lads who have done that. Like you said, people are already still locked up now and done all this kind of thing. Yeah. So moving forward now in today, what's next for you, mate? What are you trying to achieve? Like, what's next for the Butlin Brothers? Is this your chance to fucking scream from the rooftops? What's coming next for you?
Well, I mean, the big things, I'm finishing off my masters, and that'll help, I think, a lot with the private intelligence company and stuff.
And what's your master's doing? Sorry, Andy.
I'm doing international affairs with a specialism in cybersecurity. Yeah. I do think that cyber, and it's going to be a big thing over the next 5-10 years, with everything going online. Like cybersecurity, for security as a nation, for security as a business. Yeah. it's
seen that as
huge.
an opportunity then? Like, obviously, we mentioned earlier about the Bitcoin, and you saw that as an opportunity.
Yeah.
Are you always kind of thinking 5-10 years ahead?
Yeah,
thinking,
you've got
right,
to think
well,
like
what's
everything's
gonna
going
happen?
online. You know, I work on vulnerabilities in computer systems, vulnerabilities for businesses and things like that. And again, with the privacy and, you know, so I work both sides. I think like the guys who do sort of penetration testing and things, they call it like a purple team. So the red team's like the attack, the offensive. The blue team's like the defensive. And then the purple team kind of do bits of both. And that's kind of what we do. But we do it not just with computer systems, but with whole businesses. Looking at where's your vulnerability as a business or as a high net worth individual. And those are the people that we work with. Is there anyone else
doing that kind of stuff? That
I don't know. I just had this idea, like,
because if you take it back, if you're looking at, you're kind of the pioneer of UK MMA, bringing that to the forefront, and then you're looking at this now, bringing.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, it's like it was just a natural progression from things that I was doing, and I do feel like with businesses, they've got to look at the vulnerabilities.
Absolutely.
You know, you've got competitors that are trying to get your information. You look and let's look at that. You can look at it from a business point of view, like on businesses. Look at a state point of view. You know, we know full well that China are getting intellectual property and hacking intellectual property from America. You know, they're getting stuff like, you know, the Apple's intellectual property or Google or whatever. We can see all these things going on. So it's like at every single level, look, you know, my business might not be working at government level with states, but I'm looking at businesses and the same thing. Look, it's very clever for a business to hack a rival right now, isn't it? Like, why wouldn't you? You know, and it's going to be happening, but we might not know it's happening. We don't. But why not hack your competitor and see what they're doing? Well, for us, let's stop that before it happens.
Protect the IP, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I like that.
For that support.
Yeah. So.
Well, look, I think, like I said, mate, I think everything that you've achieved, even up to speed and everything you've gone through, is why why you're here. And I think, what are you wanting to? So, how old are your kids? How many kids have you got? Yeah.
So I've got 3 kids. I've got my son who's 17, just 17, and then I've got my daughters who are 13 and 11.
Nice. What's the message you'd say to those growing up? Like, what are you wanting to be portrayed as?
I just want my kids to just enjoy themselves. Like, look, be positive people and enjoy yourself. There's too much pressure put on kids to act a certain way, to do things a certain
especially
way.
Today, yeah.
It's like, look, I'm trying to help them grow up as good people, and then whatever happens, look, just be positive, and hopefully they'll live the best life. When you're positive, everything around you becomes positive. It's infectious. You know, it's infectious. So
surround yourself by people.
Don't be negative and down.
And it's like I said, I keep saying that I might sound like a broken record, but I think it's important. Like, life's just a fucking game, man.
Yeah,
like, you start it and you fucking finish it. And I think everyone in life, like Nick and even our media team, even you, all these people you meet are just characters in your fucking game. Like, when you go away and you continue the next level, that's the next day, the next week, month, whatever it may be. These are chapters, these are levels when you get towards the end of what it is that, you know, what you're trying to fulfill or what you're trying to complete.
And I also think that, like, as you get older and as you're working and developing the same way you guys are and us now, and the same, like I was saying, with Nick, with us all getting together, positive people all come together.
Absolutely,
and you totally, like, you see the other people on the outside, like, you see all these negative people, like mood hoovers and that, and they're all just on their own, just like
you never see
about life, complaining.
Yeah,
you know, they're too busy.
You never see. This is why I say to others, I say, look, you don't be so overthinking and being negative towards us. And I've done that. Like, I'll admit, like, years ago, I used to look at others and be bitter, jealous, be such
someone else's fault.
I hope they do shit. I hope they fall down.
It's like, she'll be fuming for me for saying this because she'll hear this. But my sister's, my missus' sister always comes, fucking raining outside.
Yeah.
Fucking get over it. You see, we live in England. It's going to be raining outside.
I always say to us, I always say,
mental.
you say it's raining. This is a different perspective what I say, right? And it might sound fucking cringe, but it's true. I say you might fucking see the rain, but the reality is, I guarantee if you're going to plane now and fly to the other side of the world, when you get above those clouds, it's fucking clear as all. There's sun.
Yeah.
So what you are seeing is what you're telling yourself. So what I see when it rains, like, it's bullshit. That's just a fucking smoke screen to plough your head. You can't control the fucking weather. Get over it. Fucking move on. It is what it is.
We'd
all love to live in Barbados, wouldn't we, and do the same thing?
Well, I don't know. Like I said, I don't think I'd change much of my life.
I wouldn't change much of my life. But
Yeah.
I know that obviously sunshine, but it's one of those, sunshine brings positivity, but also people around you being that sunshine.
And again,
And they can be the sunshine, exactly.
And it's like we were saying there, just wrapping this up and going, it's quick fire in a moment, is that, you know, you look at positive people, and these positive people you find, they're not saying anything bad about anyone else. So it's like, in reality, it's telling you, look, look, this is the truth of it, is that you've got negatives, you've got positive. Isn't it funny how the negative people are ones looking at the ones that they're where they want it to be, saying all these negative things, that energy. As soon as you put that energy out, it's going to attract it, and your life's not going to fall into place. This logo's gone, mate. What's going on with the phone here?
Apparently, there we go. There we go.
Well, we are wrapping this up. We are wrapping this up. Again, Ian, and I know it's not here. It's been great having you here, and like I said, you know, we really do respect you giving up your time and being here with us.
I really enjoyed it. Thanks, guys.
We always finish on quick fire, so we have some quick fire questions,
All
right? You can even answer.
Light-hearted.
Yeah, light-hearted. So look, let's dive into it. So, hypothetically, if you could jump in the cage, in the ring against any opponent, and I mean anyone, whether they're pro or not, past or present, who would you jump in the ring with? Who would you like to smash in the face in 5 rounds in UFC?
I mean, I saw a clip of the one with your brother where he dived in and got an armbar.
Yeah,
I'm
do you know what? I always like jumping in with my brother just because it's, we're identical twins. It's a test against someone who's as similar to you as you can possibly get. Yeah. So, it's hard to say anyone else. There's not really anyone that I've got an issue with.
Who would win it, Ian? Yourself, obviously.
Yeah, at the moment, Dave Tellef's the best. He's had a pretty bad car crash, so I reckon I've got a really good chance. But yeah, there's no one really that I've got any issue with that I'd want to beat up. Honestly, I'm pretty happy where I am.
3 guests at your dinner table, past or present, anyone. Who would you have sitting at the dinner table with you?
I think we touched on Muhammad Ali already. Definitely that's someone I'd like to have around the table. I like Jordan Peterson. I like to listen to what he's saying. I think he's a good guy. So I thought that'd be an interesting one. When Jordan Peterson and Muhammad Ali and me, then.
Who's your third? Who would you have? Else would you have? Last one.
Who else do I think?
I mean, I'm quite hungry. I could sit at the table with you. So it's fine.
Yeah. To be honest, I think those are 2 that sort of stand out to me that I'd like to have a conversation with. Yeah, nice. Do you know what? I'd like to be able to speak to Andrew Tate and really get to grips with what he's really about. Right. I like the persona that he shows in certain ways. There's some things that I don't agree with, and he's one of them people that I'd like to interview and talk to.
Nice. If you want in the boxing world, the fighting world, what do you think you'd be doing instead? What would you like to be doing?
I'd like to be an actor and making movies.
Nice. Well, that's what's happening now. Going into it. I'm a celebrity. We always ask this you get to the final meal, starter, main, dessert, and you drink. What are you having?
So what's this? I'm a celebrity. So what?
You're a celebrity. You got your final meal. This is it. You've got to choose your starter. You've got to choose your main.
Any
food
you can
have in the world. You can have.
So I'm on death row.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm on death row.
Let's change the question. You're on death row, Ian.
Yeah.
Starter, main, dessert, drink. What are you having?
Right. So I'm a starter. Always, whenever I get a starter, my favourite starter is always scallops with black pudding. And that sort of a dish, that's my favourite. Yeah. It's going to sound really weird, because my main's going to be totally out there. But
Chris sandwich.
No, I'd get lemon chicken from the Chinese, with noodles and stuff. Yeah, but I'd also have a fillet steak on there because those are the 2 things. So it don't go together. And then pudding, anything white chocolate, like a white chocolate cheesecake or something like that. Nice. That's I'm all over that. And then at the moment, I've got, we'll talk about addiction and stuff like that. At the moment, I've got a real bad addiction for ginger beer.
Oh, it's nice.
Yeah, and the fiery ginger beer. Yeah. Like that one, yeah.
You're drinking it.
Yeah, I honestly, I drink it. I'm probably having I bet I'm having 20 bottles a week.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say a day then.
No. I reckon I'm having about 20 bottles of ginger beer a week.
If we went on your Netflix, what are you binging on Netflix at the moment? What are you into?
What have I just been on Netflix? I've done a few good ones. That Trigger Point was good. Watch Trigger Point. Yeah. What else? I just watched. It's on the Apple TV. It's called Slow Horses. Really good.
I've got the book. I've been audiobooking it.
Have you? Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, I really enjoyed that one. So they're probably the ones that stand out for me at the moment that I've watched, Slow Horses and Trigger Point.
Amazing. Last question we ask everyone here. So in summary, if people listening and people watching this, what word of wisdom, advice would you give to others, individuals, whether it be in sport, TV, business, just life, in being able to find their ultimate greatness?
I just think, when you're taking a knocks, keep staying positive. Good things will come. As soon as you start taking a knocks and letting it affect you, and taking things personally, because a lot of it's not personal, just you're going to go down on a downhill. So you need to stay positive. When you take knocks, just accept that there's things you can do to change. You can't change other people.
Nice. Ian? Okay. Pleasure, mate. So
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Lovely. Mega.
Thank you.